I recently finished all 17 volumes of the manga Ajin. In this video, I will share with you what the story is about, leaving spoilers to a minimum, sharing what age I would recommend for Ajin the manga series, what I thought about the story with a GTP rating, and help you decide whether this is a series you'll want to read for yourself or suggest to someone you know. If you've not done so already and you'd like to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott and my goal is to help you find great experiences for yourself and your family. So let's go ahead and get started on this manga review of Ajin. So the story starts off with the main character, a teenager who is in school with a dream of becoming a doctor so he can someday find a cure for his sister. While in school, this particular day, it just so happens that the teacher is teaching about the discovery of demi-humans called Ajin. Now, very little is known about the demi-humans, but what we do know is that they cannot die no matter what happens to them. We also learn that the only way to know if you're a demi-human yourself is that you have to die. So once you die, if you're a demi-human, you will automatically come back to life. If you lose a limb, it'll automatically be restored. It's a unique premise and almost kind of scary that the only way to ever know if you really are one of these unique creatures is that you would have to die yourself. So in this story, anyone who's a human has the possibility of potentially becoming or is an Ajin, yet you would not know unless you lost your life in the first place. And demi-humans are so rare that in this story, at the current time, only 2 have been discovered in Japan. There's a lot of unknown when it comes to demi-humans. A lot of people spreading conspiracy theories, as well as a rumor that if you were to capture a demi-human, the government would give you a fancy reward in the form of a hefty paycheck if you ever found one. After school, the main character, Kei, is walking down the street when all of a sudden he's hit by a truck and killed. I bet you know where this is going. This is not a spoiler. It's in the very beginning of the story. All of a sudden, Kei discovers that he himself is a demi-human. He automatically comes back to life. In the comments below, would you let us know if all of a sudden you found out you were a demi-human, you were an Ajin, what would you do with your life? What would you do if you knew that no matter what happened, you could start over again and again and again? You are sucked into the story right away as you now follow the main character Kei's journey on realizing that he is a demi-human. Will he be hunted and rejected by society for being different? Or will he be loved and valued for who he is as a person? Of course, once Kei is known and discovered to be a demi-human, he's on for the run of his life. Once society finds out and witness in horror as they watched him come back to life, it's at this time we follow his journey as he tries to discover what does it mean to be a demi-human? What does it mean to be a human? Do you stay as a protector of society? Do you embrace your demi-human side of things? Where do you go from here? What would you do if you knew that you had infinite life? No matter what happened to you, you just come back over and over again. And that's where this story pulls you into its narrative. As pursuing the dream of becoming a doctor that is called to save lives, can he save the lives of humans no matter how twisted humans can be at times? The story asks, what does it really mean to be a human? I will say, just when you expect the story is going one direction, it goes a completely different direction instead. This story is not black or white, this or that, but instead comes up with a direction you would never see coming. There were many moments that my jaw dropped on the floor, thinking the narrative was going to go one way, then all of a sudden the author pulls a situation or almost like a unique switch or lever that was never there in the first place. And now I'm just blown away where the journey is now taking us. It's as if the narrative had a fork in the road and instead the author took the story off course, neither going left or right, but a completely new and different direction. and it works. Prepare for a wild ride. I felt as if I was at the edge of my seat, page after page, during the different volumes of the story. When it comes to character development, this manga does a good job with character progression, as you see the main character act one way and slowly his heart is acting another. I never really knew what the main character is going to do while reading the story. The story does a good job with you guessing what the main character K is going to decide and what will he do next. The manga also does a good job with us questioning our own decisions and motives. Do we run with our emotions, or do we stuff them down and pull them aside so that we can make a better decision? And the decision we make, we don't even know, is that going to be the best decision or even the right decision in the first place? We could think we're doing the right thing when all of a sudden we realize midway through that what we're doing is having the exact opposite effect of what we wanted. And in that moment, do we pivot and change directions, or do we keep going pedal to the metal on the choice we've already decided, no matter what is the consequence? I appreciate the manga doing a great job with the pacing and giving a little behind the scenes narrative of the different characters. The author does a really good job allowing us to slow down for air by peeking into different characters' past, then going back to the main story. One thing I was absolutely blown away when I read the story is that the author created a terrifying villain. A gripping villain that you cannot turn away from and even worried yourself on what the villain is about to do next. He is smart, calculated in his decisions, ruthless, and will do whatever it takes to achieve his goals. I'm sure you noticed on the title, I wrote the word ruthless in my manga description for this review. As I was writing the script for the story, I couldn't help but just thinking over and over again about just how ruthless this villain is. Like going to see an 80s action movie, it was almost like you were dealing with the Terminator from Judgment Day. If another Terminator movie ever comes out, I hope the writers and director take some notes from this manga. I believe the last Terminator movie would have been so much better if James Cameron even had a peek of this story. There are so many tidbits and highlights on what you can do to make such a ruthless character. When it comes to the dialogue, this manga can be easy to speed through, but I would recommend not rushing and actually take the time to slow down while reading each page. There is a lot going on behind the scenes, and it could be easy to get confused if you don't slow down and take the time to read through each page. Even take the time to notice the details in the drawings and the character work that gives subtle hints to what might be coming up next. The dialogue is not too heavy, and for the most part, when it is heavy, is towards the later volume. But the author does a great job knowing when there should be dialogue and when there should not. The author never makes you feel like you're wasting your time when reading through the story. Every bit of dialogue is significant, and you want to especially pay attention when words are said. Now, when it comes to the artwork, I'll say it's fine. There were a few oh snap moments while looking at the different panels. I was never wowed by the artwork, but I was also never thought it was bad. Now, I would not recommend the story for kids. This manga has a ton of violence, similar to a rated R movie. There was even at times I felt a little uneasy myself as I was going through some of the panels. Now, this manga also has some adult content, but it's also very minor. There is one scene early on in the story where a demi-human decides to hijack a plane and then use that plane to crash into a building to cause as much damage as possible. And that was a little uneasy for me as growing up and being there witnessing 9/11. It almost hit a little too close to home for myself, so I just want to forewarn you about this before you read the story. And the last negative tidbit I have is that the ending felt a little anticlimactic, but it was such a wild ride that it was worth the price of admission. Everything until the very end, I felt I was at the edge of my seat, trying to not fall over page after page as I was completely gripped into the story. I'm not exactly sure what the author could have done, but it was still a good ending. I was on such a high with the rest of the story, I was a little surprised on when it did finally end. With that said, I will be giving the story a GTP rating of an 8 out of 10. It is a story you will not want to put down. This manga is all about fighting to the very end, even when all hope is lost. So do not give up pursuing your dreams, because we only have one life. So how can I take this one life and make the most of it? Take those risks. Write that book. If there's a book you've been wanting to write, start writing it now. If there's a job you've been wanting to pursue, take a little bit of that risk to see if it's something you could do. If there was a person you've wanted to let them know how you feel, tell that person. Build those friendships. We only have one life. It's your job to do what you can to make the most of it. And if you need help, let me know. That's what the GTP is all about. How can we help you create great experiences for yourself and your family? If you need help with these experiences, let us know. This is a community together. Pursue your dreams. Seek wise advice and counsel before you pursue your dreams, but still pursue those dreams. Like the greatest of all time, Mike said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I'm Scott, and you have been watching the GTP. If you'd like to see more content like this, and you've not done so already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.